God's command, do not judge, yet place me on a bench where I must, is my vocation in opposition to his heart? Judge the act as your wisdom and role require, but never judge the soul. That bench is God's alone.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Have you ever felt completely stuck between what your job requires you to do and what you feel is morally right? Well, today we're going to dive into that exact feeling, a really profound conflict that one judge faced. But honestly, it's a riddle that so many of us have to solve in our own lives. And it all starts with this, a powerful, gut-wrenching question from a judge. You can just feel the crisis in these words, can't you? It perfectly captures the dilemma. How in the world are you supposed to follow a command not to judge when your entire job, your whole vocation, demands it?
You know, this isn't just some abstract problem for a judge. We're calling it the judge's paradox. But really, it's a deeply human experience. It's that feeling of being pulled in two completely opposite directions by what you believe and what you have to do.
And this just lays it out, plain and simple. On one side, you have this core moral or spiritual command, do not judge. And on the other, you have your job, your role as a parent, your responsibility in society, which says, no, you absolutely must judge. They seem like they just can't exist in the same universe. So that brings us to the big question we're tackling here. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO, a teacher, or just a friend trying to give tough advice. How do you navigate this contradiction? Well, the answer is way more interesting than you might think. Okay, so what's the way out of this paradox? The advice the judge receives is, honestly, brilliant. It introduces this idea of the two benches, two totally different kinds of judgment. And this is where the puzzle really starts to come together. And here it is. This is the key that unlocks the whole thing. It turns out the thing we're asked to judge is not the same thing we're commanded not to judge. The solution is all about seeing the massive difference between what a person does and who a person is at their core. So you've got these two domains. Think of them as two different jobs. Your bench, that's the human bench, the one we all sit on, our job is to judge the act itself. But my bench, the divine one, that's reserved for judging a person's soul. One is our responsibility, the other is way, way above our pay grade.
So what does it mean to sit on our bench? Well, it means we have to deal with the real, tangible world. We have to look at specific behaviors. We have to uphold the rules and standards of our community, to keep things from falling apart. And we have to try to do it all with wisdom.
And this is the critical boundary. Our authority stops with the action. Making that final, ultimate call on someone's character, on their soul, on their intrinsic worth, that's just not our job. That seat is already taken.
Okay, so let's dig into that a little deeper. Because judging the act, that is our role. That's the part we have to get right in our day-to-day lives.
When we say the act, we're not talking about some vague idea. We're talking about something you can actually see, a specific choice someone made, a behavior you can point to, and the real-world consequences it had on other people. It's not about playing psychologist and guessing their motives. It's about dealing with what actually happened. And that's why this paradox feels so real for so many of us. This kind of judgment isn't just some optional thing, it's absolutely necessary for society to function. Leaders have to make tough calls. Parents have to set boundaries. Managers have to evaluate performance. These are all essential forms of judging the act. All right, so if we have to judge the act, how are we supposed to do it? Well, the preacher offers these two incredible guiding principles. And they're not opposites. They're actually two sides of the very same coin. Love. I mean, how beautiful is that? Think about justice not as this cold, hard thing, but as the very shape love takes when you apply it to a whole community. It's the structure, the container, that keeps everyone safe and treated fairly. And if justice is the structure, mercy is the life, the air inside of it. It's the breath, it's the compassion that love shows to one single person inside that larger structure. It's what sees them as a human being, not just a case file. This table really breaks it down for us. Justice looks outward. Its focus is the whole community, and its job is to provide that stable, safe framework for everyone. But mercy looks inward. Its focus is the individual, and its job is to provide breath, to provide possibility, a chance for grace. You absolutely need both. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do this? What does it look like in real life when you're in the thick of it? The final piece of advice is all about the practical path forward. It really boils down to two things. First, you do your job, you make the hard call, you uphold the standard, you deliver the justice that the community needs. That's doing the first. But And this is key. At the exact same time, you don't close your heart. You leave your hand open. You leave your mind open for mercy. You keep a posture of compassion for the individual.
And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway. It's not about finding some perfect, easy answer that makes the conflict go away. It's about learning to walk in the tension. It's a practice, a constant dynamic act of holding both of these things, justice and mercy, at the very same time.
So, I'll leave you with this to think about. This whole paradox, it isn't just for judges on a bench. Where in your life are you being asked to do this, to judge and act while still holding compassion for the person? And how can you start to walk in that tension, with both justice and with mercy?